Hello, hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. There we go. I had all of my stuff all set up except for the camera. So as that countdown was going on, I was freaking out just a little bit, but we're good. We're good. I'm just gonna do one little quick test. Yep, there's the desktop. We are good to go. So how is everyone doing tonight? You'll have to forgive the crazy hair. As we prep for Scrapfest, things get a little crazy, and we have our crop at the St. Mary's Friendship Center this weekend. So we have been packing and prepping and doing all kinds of wonderful things. But that means sometimes the hair gets a little unruly. Here we are here we go, Learning Live. And we are going to do some stenciling. We're going to play with a really fun set from Hero Arts. And we did this at our Make and Mingle last week, and we had lots of fun. I've actually used this to make a birthday card since then, and really excited to share this with you tonight. So as you are joining in, excuse me, I've got I've got a thumbs up. Matt, if you could please get me some water, please. I forgot to grab that. Well, I prefer cold water, but okay.
Cold water's not good for your throat.
Got water here. We are good to go. All right.
We can give you multiple waters.
No, it's fine. All right. So I see Diane and Donna, and I thought I saw Shelley. We've got lots of people joining in. Please do drop a note of hello into the comments. And you know what? Without further ado, let us just get crafting. So here I am going to switch over back to this desktop camera. Everything looks my lighting doesn't look the greatest. Hopefully you can see this okay. Donna said she missed Thursday night at the store, so she is excited that we are going to be crafting with this stencil set as well. And so let's just talk about this. This is a set from Hero Arts called the collection is called Friends with Flair. And it is all built on this idea of the flare on your jacket, the flare on your shirt, flare being kind of a synonym for like enamel pins or badges or other things that you would put on your shirt, your jacket, all of that kind of stuff. And when we did this in class, so we did this, we played with this whole collection from Hero Arts in one of our recent trade shows. And man, you could just have so much fun with this whole collection. And we did it all in blues. So the very first version of this that I'm going to do tonight is going to be in the blues. In the class, we used Hero Arts ink, so we used Nautical and Stonewash. But I really liked using this great big fluffy brush for the background, and you'll see why in a second. And sometimes the mini ink cubes are a little bit challenging for that. And I have not yet gotten large size in these Hero Arts inks, but I'm close. I'm close because there are some colors that I really, really love. Having said that, there are some nice comparable inks in the 49 and Market collection. So tonight for the blues, I'm going to be using Frosty, and I'm going to be using Dress Blues, which is a really nice deep navy blue. So we're gonna recreate this chambray denim kind of look. Though now, as I'm thinking, I may do something a little bit different. So we're gonna play with it. But I know we also have lots of purple lovers out there. Excuse me, the card I did on the weekend, I used pinks. So it is really easy to take this set and make it feminine, make it for something for a girl or woman, as well as for men, boys. It really is a very universal set. So for this one, I have pulled out two purples. I've got Passion Flower and Amethyst from Hero Arts. And maybe that's the one I will do the alternate idea. Well, and then as we were cleaning up and as we were prepping for our upcoming events, I came across this partial pack of shaker covers. So you know what? We're just going to throw everything at the wall tonight. We're going to take one of these cards and turn it into a shaker card at the end. So that's kind of my plan. That's kind of where I am thinking of going tonight. I'll just give you another little overview. So in this collection, there is, let me pull it all out and we will talk about all the bits. So there is a wonderful stamp set. Let me put some cardstock behind it so you can see it. Very in keeping with this collection. You know, that's radical, chin up, gag me with a spoon. Raise your hand if it's been a hot minute since you have heard that saying. You're totally awesome. You've got flair. You're one of a kind. Miss your face. And then you're my fave. You got this. And happy birthday. And no duh. So some really fun, cheeky kind of sentiments that definitely take us back in time. Now that I see it, I guess I kind of missed it with it being up here in the corner. I kind of think we have to do a gag me with a spoon card, but we'll see where that goes tonight. And there, of course, there is a coordinating die that helps to cut that stamp set out. There is also, sorry, I'm just trying to keep track of everything here. There is also the actual Flair die set. So it's got things like a foam finger for number 1, the peace symbol, I love you, strawberries, hearts, rainbows, baseball, football, happy face, daisies. Sorry, let me get this over here in the center. And so lots of fun. I went ahead and I prepped a couple here for tonight. So I've got the daisy, I've got the finger, I've got the happy face, and I've got the heart. Not quite sure which ones we will use, but at least they're glued together and ready to go. And really, for the most part, these are 2 layers. So you just cut one in one color, one in the other color, and away you go. So that really goes with the jean jacket. There is an actual die for the jean jacket that you can use with the stencil and with or without. I'll come back to that one in a second. And then this one is super fun as well. It's part of the collection. It is kind of its own standalone set, but you can mix and match it together. So these are your suspenders. These are your stripes to go on your suspenders. So this is kind of a foundation piece with embossed lines on it that then help you line up your stripes. There is a collar for a t-shirt. There is the collar for a collared shirt. And then there is the little bow tie. So super stinking cute. I can see me using that for a lot. I know I've seen an example where they turn this into a tuxedo. So you can absolutely play around with that and have lots of fun. But the main thing I want to talk about tonight and what we're going to be using tonight is the stencil set. Excuse me. So the stencil comes, there's 5 layers in the stencil set. And the main piece, I almost had a heart attack. The main piece is this one here. And this is your foundation piece that really goes on your paper first to help you know what the outline is of your shirt or jacket, however you want to describe it. Then there are 2 stencils that are for the front view. So that gives you that open collar, the button down the front, the pocket. And you're not going to be able to see it likely here on the camera, but in this bottom left corner, there is a front 1 and front 2. It is really important that you keep those together. When we were doing it the other night, I accidentally gave Chris the wrong one, but we caught it in time and were able to make adjustments. So there's 2 stencils for the front. And I think you can figure out where I am going with this. There are also 2 stencils for the back view, which is this one here. So it is really versatile in that you can do front view, you can do back view. Someone made the suggestion too that you could do it as a shaped card, and you could do the front view, and then you could on the front of the card and the back view on the back of the card. If you're going to do that, you would want to flip over your stencil and do it on the back side, just so that your orientation is correct. But we're going to do one of each tonight. And then, like I said, there is the die as well. So this die will cut out if you stencil it, or it can stand alone. And again, it's got the back collar as well as the front collar, so you can do double duty on that particular die as well. So that's the collection. It's a lot of fun. I can see us using this particular set many, many times. And wait till you see how easy it comes together. So let's start off. I'm going to get everything set up, and I'm going to work on my foundational piece. For the blue, I think I'm going to do the back view, because I want to do the front view with the pocket in the purple. And I think that'll likely be the one that we do for the shaker, but we'll see. We'll see. So stencils out of the way. My samples out of the way. And again, I don't know if you can see it very well. I've used a white gel pen on here. I think for my sample today, I'll try to do a little bit darker. Or I've also got a black journaling pen that you can create your own stitching on there. Just so much fun. And then I've just got blue paper to put in behind. So everything out of the way. I am grabbing out my grip mat, just like I did. Was it last week that I did stenciling as well? What did I do last week? Oh, last week was with the craft paper. So yes, this is stenciling 2 weeks in a row. What a treat. Get these plastic pieces off. Put them somewhere safe so I don't lose them when I go to put them away. And I'm going to load up my paper. So I'm literally just putting my paper down here on my grip mat. Whoops, don't curl the corner. That was not smart. Kind of caught it there. Just because I'm picky, I will put that aside. I can do something else with that. All right, so let's grab out that foundational stencil number 1 here. And I am going to line this up so that it goes almost, well, it's going to go completely off the edge of my paper. And I'm going to just stick this down to all 4 sides. And let me let's see if I can bring my camera down. I didn't hook up my phone, so, wrong way. There we go. So you can see I've really lined this up with the corner of the paper. And that is done on purpose so that when we go to put the other layers on, we're going to use those edges and the collar to help us align them up. Let me come back out whoops, wrong way. Just a little bit. There we go. Hero Arts does have these little marks in the corner. So if you were doing a larger piece of paper, what you would do is mark those corners so that you can line up the stencil again. One thing I have done in the past when my paper doesn't reach and I can't mark it is I will just take some scrap paper. I've got some scraps here. And you can just cut. So I'm going to cut a little piece here, little piece here, little piece here, and a little piece here. And what I can do is I can tuck them under the corners. So if you have a really detailed stencil where lining it up is not going to be easy, this is a good cheat if you don't have, if your paper's not big enough. I'm just tucking them in the corners here. With them being on the grip mat, they are going to stay stuck as long as I'm careful when I take my stencil up. There we go. So you could either take a pen or a pencil, or you could just use your ink, and I'm just filling in those little squares so that when I go to the next stencil, it's going to line up properly. So let me just bring that up so you can see that. So if your paper's not big enough, just cheat and do it that way. All right, so with this particular stencil, even though we are going to be stenciling 3 layers, I'm only using 2 colors of ink. Especially when you have a lighter ink as your first color, this is very easy to build up some layers and build up depth of color without having to switch colors. Of course, if you have 3 colors, then definitely go ahead and use the 3 colors, but you can really get away with 2 colors. So now I'm just inking up my brush, and this does look quite a bit darker than what you might think. I think it had been used for a couple of different shades of blue, but I checked on scrap paper before I got started and know that I'm going to be okay with this lighter color as long as it's blue. If I tried to go, do red and then go into blue, that might not work out quite so well, though purple people would probably, and not actual purple people, but purple lovers. We don't have any purple people eaters here. And I'm really just creating a nice light layer. Now it's quite amazing how dark that got very, very quickly. I know when we were playing with this at the store, whether people were just being a little too timid and too light-handed, I'm not too sure, but we had trouble getting this depth of color. So look how beautiful that looks in and of itself. Before I remove it, I am going to take my cloth and I'm just going to wipe it down so that when we go to do the other color, we don't have to clean it off. All right. So that's layer number 1, and I can just peel this up now. And one of those things, especially when you're doing a large piece like this, and also when we're doing the others, and I will show you, don't be afraid to just peel up a corner to see if you're getting all the areas and getting the depth of color that you want. I could tell just from what I was doing that it was going pretty well, but especially when we get into the more detailed, sometimes a little bit harder to see. So peel it up, stick it back down, just make sure you're holding onto one corner, and again, making sure those little registration marks stay aligned. All right, so I want back number 1, this nice big area here. So I'm gonna line up my corner, my bottom one should automatically line up. And I always do just a sanity check for myself. I can see that corner area, that collar area is lined up, and I can see that the edges of these stencils are hitting the edge of the paper. Again, let me bring it up just so you can see. So if you didn't do the registration marks, that's simply how you would line it up. It actually lines up very, very easily. I could use the big brush again, but there are some delicate areas in here. So I'm going to go to a smaller brush. The bristles are a little bit more dense, so I'm going to get a little bit more coverage. And I'm just going into each area. And this is where you might be looking at it. It's like, okay, I don't really see much happening. First of all, you can always add more ink. So if you're a little bit light-handed at first, don't worry too much. You can get that built up in there. And I'm just holding some of these pieces down because they are bouncing just a little bit. And especially with the delicate areas, you want to make sure that nothing's going to get caught. Now, I don't know if you can tell, I'm holding the head with my thumb and index finger. It's allowing me to push a little bit harder, but sometimes pushing hard doesn't actually get you the result that you want. So firm, not too delicate, but you don't have to get in there with your hands and your elbows and your knees. You can just keep building up the layers. And then this is where I say, if you're not sure, if you don't know if you need to add more or not, let's stop and do a reality check. So I'm going to hold up here, and I'm just going to pull up like this. This way I make sure that the stencil moves as little as possible. But all of a sudden, where you think you haven't got enough depth of color, when you pull it back, you're like, oh wow, that actually looks a lot better than I thought it did. Now, if you had missed a spot, or if you really wanted, like I see up here, I might need just a little bit more color up here, you can go back and add. But then when you're happy, you're done. And it really comes down to how happy you are with the result. And I'm pretty stinking happy about that. Now, what did I miss? What did I forget to do? I forgot to clean off the stencil before I lifted it. So at this point, I'm not going to try and make sure it gets back in. Because we're not using this again, I'm not too worried. But that's where my alcohol spray would come into play. I would give that a spritz, wipe it with my cloth, and I will do that before I put it away tonight. All right, stencil number 3. Or actually, back number 2 specifically. So again, let's line up my corner. Line up my corner, bottom lines up, give it a good rub down, make sure that it's sticking, and this is now where I am going to switch to the darker ink. I've got a brush for that darker ink, and again, just nice and easy. Don't have to push too hard, and already you can definitely see that coming together. And we just fill in the holes. Now, another thing you might notice, I'm going circular, but in both directions. Sometimes if you only go in one direction, you're only going to catch part of the space. By going in opposite directions, it helps you get all of the edges. I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but because the stencil is raised just that little bit, going only in one direction might cause you to miss areas. All right. I think this is going to be pretty good. So I don't even feel like I need a sanity check. Man, I think stenciling is right up there in my favorite things to do. I could stencil all day. I find it very relaxing. Okay, so that blue ink is done. I'm going to grab my cloth, and wiping your stencil while it's still in place is fine because you're only going to be putting ink back in the spaces that already have ink. All right, so that's nice and clean. Again, I'll still give it a quick spritz before I put it away tonight, but ready? Are you ready? Joan is saying, if anyone is from St. Mary's, come and see Matt and Sheri at the Scrapathon on Saturday. That is in St. Mary's, 317 James Street South. It's going to be a great weekend. Joan and her crew always put on a really great event, and we would love to see you. Okay, are you guys ready? Are you ready for the magic? 1, 2, 3. It looks so dimensional, and it's nice and smooth. So this is a really great technique if you are making a card that you have to mail and you don't want too much bulk, you don't want too much dimension. Nice and simple and easy. So like I said, you could take that die to cut it out, or this would be a super easy form factor to fussy cut. I would have no problem fussy cutting this myself, but it just looks spectacular. And just like on our sample, you could go in Let me find it. You could go in and put some Flair on the back. You could do some faux embroidery. You could get out, your stitching. You could really just do some amazing things. If you find that this is still not dark enough for you, so this base layer is still quite pale, you could layer it on top of already blue paper. So that would add some depth of color, that will add some extra oomph to it, but I think it looks phenomenal. So much fun, and look, that was literally just minutes. I think I spent more time talking than I did actually stenciling, and just like that, it just looks really spectacular. Stamp your sentiment on here, put it on a little bit of a mat, and call it done. You could really create something fast and simple and easy and make it look like you have spent hours. So that is the blue, and that is, 100% how this was originally envisioned. But, we have to get more creative. So I am going to start off with another piece of paper, and I should be able to I should have paid more attention to where the paper was before. Let me just reality check this. If I line this up, so maybe what I'll do, just because I don't want to have to move these guys, is I'm going to then move my paper over just a little bit. Lined at the bottom, lined at the side, my things are all lined up, and we are going to start over from scratch. Now here's where I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to try something a little bit different. I only have one of these big fluffy brushes, which is one of the main reasons why I started with blue and started with this big fluffy brush. I would not necessarily want a full collection of these, but if you have some favorite colors, then you might want fluffy brushes for that. I've only got 2 small brushes, so I'm going to try something different. Who remembers the faux wood grain technique that I have taught a few times? It was actually our very first online demo class, whatever, that we did during the pandemic, and I have taught it many, many times since. And the idea being, you simply take your ink pad and you drag it in order to make a wood grain looking finish. Well, the neat thing about that technique is it can also look like fabric. So this is just paper. I'm not 100% certain that it's going to work through a stencil, but why not try? So we're gonna go rogue. We are going to go try something different. So I'm gonna start over here on the top left corner, and I'm just gonna pull it down in straight-ish stripes on the paper here. I just want to be really careful, especially down here at the bottom, that it doesn't catch. So worst case, we go back to plan A, we pull out another piece of paper, and we start over. So I'm going to just take this. I'm really just trying to hit the top part of that ink pad, and I'm just pulling it down. Oh, that's going to look cool. Look at that. Back and forth, and maybe what I'll try to do is go up. Yeah, I should have started at the bottom, but to try and get those edges. Kinda neat, kinda neat. I am happy, and just like that, don't need a big fluffy brush. I've created this really fun fabric looking pattern, and it may not look like much right now, but it's going to look fabulous when we've got all those layers on. So once again, I'm gonna clean that off. You know what I might do? At the risk of ruining it, I'm going to try, just because I've got some white areas here right along the edge of the stencil that I'm not loving. Let's just see if we can fill those in a little bit. So that's that same issue about going in different directions, is that sometimes you will get that white edging. This can just help bring in a little bit of color and get rid of that white. Okay. Don't want to do too much because I don't want to take away, but I know that there's other layers going on top, so I'm not too worried. And you know what, guys? If you take nothing else away from tonight's live, it's the reminder that it's just paper. It's just a little bit of ink. So if you happen to try something and it doesn't work out, oh well, you grab another piece of paper. So, but in this case, I think that's pretty darn spectacular, if I do say so myself. I'm now going to go, we're going to do front view on this guy. So this is one I'm going to take front stencil number 1. And once again, use my registration marks. Do a reality check on my edge and my left edge and my bottom. And I'm going to go with that same lighter purple, and let's build in these. Now this one I know has a very delicate piece up here. I have already bent it once. So that's where you really have to be careful with your stencil. But I'm just going to build up my color here and fill in the spaces. And this is one, again, that you kind of have to have faith that it's working, but we will do a reality check. We will lift it up and take a peek before we remove it. Now, on the whole, this brush might be a little bit small for something with big areas like this. It just happens to be the one that I have, so you make do. But you may have to go over certain areas a little bit more to make sure that that ink is really transferring over. La la. This is where I might start to sing, though not on camera because I might get flagged for copyright. Though if anybody could recognize any song with me singing it, that would be a win. All right. So again, I'm being really careful of this piece here, not pushing too hard, being careful. If you know you've got delicate areas and you start to feel resistance, then stop. I'm doing okay so far. Okay. Let's take a little peeky, because this one's a little tricky at times. So I'm holding it down here just because I'm right-handed, so I like to grab that right corner. Ooh, that's actually not too bad. Looks like this bottom corner I could use a little bit more, so I'm going to carefully put it back down. Let's go back here where I started and just fill that in. But all in all, pretty happy with that. Okay, so that's it for Passion Flower. Let's give our, and again, be gentle on those pointy bits. And Diane says she practices on scrap paper. That's another great thing to do. Practice is always a good thing. And you know what? Again, basic cardstock, not going to break the bank. But look at that. How spectacular is that looking? And I love that you can still see that kind of fabric grain coming through it. One more stencil to go. Line up my little registrations. All right, do my little sanity check. Are all my lines lining up? It sure is. And we're going to go into Amethyst. Amethyst is a darker purple. Going with this bigger brush. And away we go. This one has a lot more detailed areas, so take your time. Go in 2 different directions. Grab a little bit more ink. Okay. And see, in just minutes, this guy has come together. Okay, lid. Let's wipe it down. Yeah, this one will definitely need a good spritz when we're done. Oh, see, there's another delicate piece that just caught on my cloth, so you do have to be careful. All right, and time for the reveal. Diane was asking, how do we know what size of blending brush to use? The best rule of thumb is if you have big areas, use a big brush. So that's why I liked using the big brush for this, because I had a nice big area to cover. If you've got small areas, so this one, I mean, these ones are not too dissimilar. The reason why I said this one was a bit small, just because it doesn't soak up the ink that much, and you had to work at it a little bit more, and that stencil had some bigger spaces. This brush on this particular stencil, probably not an issue because you've got very detailed and delicate areas. For this one, you could even go into the waffle flower brushes, but rule of thumb is big areas, big brushes, small areas, smaller brushes, but it is also comes down to personal preference. So the more you do it, you will know, okay, I use this brush in areas that have very detailed, and I found I was making too much of a mess. That way you might want to go to a smaller brush. On the flip side, if I tried to use this little brush on this big stencil, I'm going to get a lot of brush marks. It's not going to be as nice and even as using the big one, and it's going to take me a long time. So it really does come down to how big an area you're trying to cover, and then by personal preference and what you have success with. So that's why it never hurts to have a variety in your stash, so you can try things out. This guy here too is great if you're doing cloud stencils, because again, you're getting nice big soft areas. And sorry, that's going to make my camera go wonky, but hopefully that answers your question. I see you say it makes total sense, so glad that made sense. All right, let's go and reveal. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, that's all I can say. Wow, that turned out spectacular. So you've got that that little bit of texture from that faux wood grain or faux fabric look, but you've still got the shadows building in. You've got your depth of color and all that dimension, and it looks pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. So as our time is ticking along, let's continue to work with this this purple one. Let's add some Flair. Let's put a background on it, and let's turn it into a shaker. I may continue to do some stenciling even after the live. So for right now, I'm going to leave these little guys on there. I can also, if I decide I'm done for the night, I can still put my plastic cover on it. These are just really great tools to have. That really only took a couple of scraps of paper, and you can move them around depending on your stencil and how you need them. So I'm just going to tuck this away for now. What I have pulled aside here is I've got some light purple and some dark purple. Kind of like that dark purple behind it because I think that one is too pale. It's almost too much like the white one. But let's not necessarily commit yet. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to fussy cut. Yep. I'm going in and I am fussy cutting. And you will see just how easy it is to fussy cut this guy out. Just going right along the edge. My scissors are angled just a little bit so that I can get right close to that edge. And it might make a big difference what background works once I have it cut out. So, easy peasy. All cut out. So I could put this one on here like this. That actually looks kind of interesting. Or over, oops, bring where you can see it. I kind of like that too. You know what? Let's go with the dark one. What that means though, if I stamp in black, well, let's try it. What have we got to lose? Let me cut this in half. So cutting it at 4 1/4. I have another one just in case. I'm just going to use, and I don't have, maybe it's in my drawer here. Yep. I'm going to use some repositionable tape just to get it or just to kind of mark my place. Repositionable on the back here so that I can put this into place. I am leaving a very narrow border here. But then I want my stamp set. And you know what? I desperately want to use that gag me with a spoon. But it feels a little weird. No, you know what? Go big or go home, right? Go big or go home. Let me grab my Misty. Put that into place. Oops. My 80s friends will all totally understand gag me with a spoon. So I'm going to put that right there in the corner. And grab my VersaFine. Anita says she loves the purple. Oh, that actually turned out really well. Sometimes the first time you use a stamp, it doesn't show up as well, but that one just stamped beautifully. Look at that. So this I will clean later. Do I have scrap paper? I'll take this one no, I'll just leave it open. Sorry, talking to myself. Now I can peel this off. And I'm going to use my liquid glue this time just to make sure I get some good coverage. This glue is almost done. There we go. Just around the outside. Little zigzag in the center, get that set aside. And here we go, putting it back into place, just that little border. And because I'm making this into a shaker card, I do want to make sure that all of those edges get stuck down, because if little sequins get caught in there, it may not work the way we want it to work. So that is nice and flat. And let's pull some Flair. So I think we'll probably skip the skip the foam finger. Diane saying she didn't know there was such a thing as repositionable tape. Yep, this is the repositionable dots. So it always comes in the green runner. And what you can do is you can use it. See if it shows up on camera here. There we go. You've got the little dots here, so you can attach it to your paper. But then when you need to move it, you can pull it up, and it's like, okay, I'm done with it. Just rub it, and the adhesive comes right off. So now it's not sticky at all. So I really like this when I am trying to position things. If I'm not 100% sure that it's going to be permanent, if I want that extra little relief to make sure that it's going to be in the right spot. And my glue is a little drippy. So let's put the heart right here. Oh, I'm just going to show you the stitching as well. Let's do the happy face over here. And let's put the daisy on. And again, because I'm making this into a shaker, I want to get lots of glue without being too much glue, so that all those edges are sticking down. Okay, so everything's stuck down. I'm going to grab my little black, this is a 0.1 journaling pen, and I'm just going to do some little dashes. Totally freehand, because stitching isn't always perfect. I'm going to come over here and do this side. And then I'm going to go down. I'm pretty sure this piece of the shirt or the jacket has a name. I just don't know what it is. But I'm just going to go down those edges. Totally freehand. Keeps it very fluid, very organic. I will bring it up to the camera in just a second. The 0.1, so you definitely want to try something a little bit finer. I tend to use more of a bold pen most of the time, but this time I'm going to keep it to the fine so that it looks like stitching. So along the edge of the pocket and down here as well. Just a really great little technique for adding some finishing touches. And again, super fast, super easy. Don't overthink it. And yes, I did this after stenciling. Diane says, can you use an embossing folder for a pattern shirt? Why not? I would say make sure that you've got it fussy cut first. And yes, I would definitely do it after stenciling. But I think that would look really cool, especially if you have a tight pattern that's nice and small. Sometimes a big pattern might be a little bit too much, too spaced out. The other thing that would be interesting to try is pattern paper. What if you had a gingham pattern paper? And in that case, just try and match your colors as much as possible and really just focus on the details more than on that background. Lots of things you can try. All right, so this guy is now complete as a card. I don't want to add anything else. We've got our Flair, we've got our sentiment, we've got our cute purple shirt. So let's turn it into a shaker. So I'm going to grab one of these shaker covers from Waffle Flower. And I'm going to give you guys an option. So jump in the comments. I have these little guys, which are little pastel open stars. Or I have these big chunky squares. So jot in the comments stars or squares. As I get the shaker pouch ready, I will watch the comments. Diane, we will catch you on replay for sure. Hopefully the sound is okay for everyone else. But stars or squares for our shaker bits. And let me get this ready to go. So, keynote, remove protective film. It's always an important step. Probably the hardest step of doing these shaker cards is getting that protective film started. There we go. Oh, I got a couple of stars here in the comments. I'll go back. Yeah. Oh, 2 stars, 1 square. So, I've peeled that protective backing off. I'm going to now turn it face down so that all I have showing are these 3, the 4 panels that say 3M. Sometimes helps if you do fold along with them. Oh, Karen says squares 2. I think we're 2 and 2 now. And if we're a tie, guess what? We can do both. All right, I do see a little, I'm gonna grab, got this little dusting brush from my foiling. Let's just give that a little clean. I've bent up those areas. Okay, we've got 3 stars, 2 squares. Okay, so I've tucked this inside. I'm now going to peel the backing on 3 sides. 1. And fold it down so it's sealed to the paper. Let's do the other side. Fold it down so it's sealed to the paper. Do the bottom. All right, so now we have it sealed on 3 sides. We've got this 1 panel open so we can put our shaker bits inside. And because it was sort of a trick question, though I didn't really intend it to be a trick question, let's go ahead and put both in. So we're going to put some squares in. That looks very pixely and retro. You don't want too much. But then let's go ahead and put some stars in too. Because why not? Why not, I say. Again, sometimes getting them out of the packaging is just the hardest part. These little Ziplocies. There we go. Shake a bunch of those in. Oh, maybe a little bit too much. Oops. And now, yeah, I got a little overzealous with the shaker bits, but in the 80s, more is more. So I've peeled that last backing. I now close up my shaker pocket and look at how much fun that is. Gag me with a spoon. It is so cute. So now what I would do is take this and put it on a card base. You could create a frame if you wanted to, but how much fun is that? So that is that, folks, for our jean jacket stenciling. Where did my blue one go? Here it is. You could put that guy kind of there on the back corner and have so much fun. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, this is the Friends with Flair collection from Hero Arts. We use the jean jacket stencil. There's the suspender set. There's the, don't even remember what they're called because I don't think I actually have names on mine. What's this? Totally awesome stamp set. And it does come with the die to cut that out. We've got the suspenders, we've got the jean jacket, and we've got that stencil. So much fun. I could just keep playing all night long. So thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for letting me talk to myself and talk to all of you. I hope that this has inspired you to get some fun stencils from the shop, or maybe you've got some fun stencils in your stash that you just haven't used in a while. Lots of fun to play with, change up the colors, create some fun texture, and make a super fun card. If you do create something based on what we've done tonight, of course, please do put it in the Papercrafts Inner Circle. H for Hero Arts would count for your April Alphabet Soup Challenge. And you know what? It definitely counts when you are creating and having fun. Thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. Have a good night, everyone.